I hope everybody had a nice weekend and everybody enjoyed themselves. Once again, welcome to It's Your City on the Breeze. KSAT 96.9 on the FM, and if you're following us on the internet, it's www.ksap.breeze. No, that's wrong. www.ksap.breeze.org. You know, it's Monday morning, can't remember nothing. And today in the studio we have our current city manager of the city of Port Arthur, Mr. Brian McDougal, and he'll be here to answer questions that you may have or concerns. And as always, we hope that you get the answer that you're looking for. And once again, we want everyone to understand that him being here and making himself accessible to the public in order to answer questions that you may have. This is not going to be his first time, so if you miss him today, don't feel like you won't get a shot to catch him any other time. And he's very visible in the public, so he's accessible and visible, so you shouldn't have the problem of not talking to or meeting with the city manager. He does run the city and he has a busy schedule. However, he can always schedule appointments and you can always get to him, and he's very accessible. In order to make things go pretty smooth today, what we're going to do is we're going to ask that when you call in a question, once he gives you the answer, then if you have another question, how about holding up on it and let's let someone else get a call in so that everybody can get a slice of this pie today. This pie is only so big, but we want to make sure everybody gets a slice of it. Now, I'm not saying you can't ask two questions, but I ask that you ask one question, hang up, and allow someone else to call in. Now, if another person don't call in while you're waiting, then have at it. Come back and get you another question in, and we'll take it as it goes. So, without further ado, we're going to introduce the new city manager of the city of Port Arthur, Mr. Brian McDougal. He can tell you a little something about you, and about himself, rather, and he can also tell you how his first 2+ months been on the job. And I can tell you,
busy.
You said, Brian, you said been busy. You don't look like it's been busy. You get like the Kennedys or somebody. You know, his hair all laid back, all the strands in place. Steve, what you think about that?
Looks pretty cool to me.
Oh, well, I tell you what. Okay, Brian, you have it.
Good morning, Harold. Appreciate you having me on the radio. Hey, my name's Brian McDougal. I was appointed as the city manager in December of last year, and then came on the job January 19th. So just a little bit over 2 months. I'm married to a beautiful woman. Her name is Brandon, and we have two puppies at home. I grew up in the Chicago area. I've made city management my career, and now I was appointed as the city manager for Port Arthur, Texas. Glad to be here.
Well, I'm glad to have you here. And right now, all that noise we apologize for, but we're trying to get the phone line straight, and we got a technician in here who doesn't know what they're doing, but hopefully we'll work our way through it, you know. And so, right, we're going to have people call in, and I hope they call in, because if they don't call in, they're going to force me to try to ask questions and get this show going, and they all know how I run this show. I don't like to get into my opinion, and normally I give information that I'm prepared for. And that information is normally a topic that is going on here in the city, some that may be controversial or have an impact. And I normally research it and I pass this information on, and then I tell the citizen, don't listen to me, don't listen to the neighbors, you know, go find this information. I normally give them the information and where I find it, and then tell them come to their own conclusions. You know, we have to be more transparent here in our city, and we also have to be able to keep the citizens informed, you know, and, I noticed that they had a meeting on the west side the other day in which you attended,
Yes, sir.
and, there were some questions concerning some of the citizens had, and, you intervened at times when you felt it was necessary for you to let the citizens know where you stand on certain issues, especially when it comes to contractors working within communities.
Yes,
So,
sir.
how about letting us know, what that was about and how you think it's gonna happen and what came out of it as a city manager, what
Sure.
you propose
Glad
to make happen in the future to sort of eliminate some of the citizens' concern.
Well, absolutely. That was a good meeting the other night. The citizens that are out there are affected by the construction of the 30-inch water line that we're putting in there on Dr. MLK, Martin Luther King Drive out there, because we had to block off those streets in order to put that line in. Well, contractors have been out there and doing their work, but really the city didn't do it right. It's in our specifications that we notify all those residents about what's going on out there, and that's the responsibility of the contractor and us, and we didn't do a very good job of it. So some of the citizens wanted to meet out there at the Methodist Church, so we met last Thursday evening to address their concerns. And you're right, I did step in because one of the complaints was that contractor vehicles were parked all up and down the street in front of their driveways and things like that. And I told the contractor that it was his responsibility to make sure that that was all dealt with. We shouldn't be parking in people's lawns. We shouldn't be blocking their driveways. We need to accommodate them while this construction project's going on. So yes, sir, good point.
Well, I'm glad because I too have gotten some comments back from citizens on that meeting and what came out of it, and I feel that's what the citizens are looking for, and it definitely shows us something different than when you have the city manager out in the public. You probably made just as many public appearances at meetings and invitations as we have had from city managers in the last 2 years, and you're only here for 2 months.
Good.
So, is that something that you believe in, is getting out of the office and getting on the ground? Or,
Absolutely. I mean, this group here on the west side also asked that we meet every 2 weeks while this project's going on, and we're glad to do it. The taxpayer signs my paycheck every 2 weeks.
well, you know, I really understand that, and I'm glad to hear from you because I was stated as a former council member when I was on council. We finally got somebody to call in. Let's see what we got. Hey, caller, you on the air? Let's hear it.
Hello?
Yes, you on the air, caller.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. First question that I got is for the city manager. I just want to ask the city manager, how is it that our Port Police Department, who don't have a contract, don't live in the city of Port Arthur, are able to take their vehicles out of city home?
That's a great question, one that I'm asking.
Oh, yes.
I'm real new to it. The city council just passed the new labor union contract with our police department. One of the things that several citizens have had questions about is how far the folks can drive. But it's been told to me that, simply put, it's not whether or not you're a citizen or not of Port Arthur, it's a distance requirement. I think that distance requirement is about 30 miles, if I'm not mistaken. But don't quote me on that because I'm not 100% sure. Next time I come on the radio, I'll have that answer.
Okay.
Okay, caller, appreciate you. And you have a good day. The Breeze, you on the air?
Hello, yes, sir. I have a question.
Okay. Let it rip.
All right, I requested a new garbage can. I live in 4 acres. Requested a new garbage can on November 20th, and I've called several times to find out about it, and I still haven't received a garbage can.
Ma'am, what's your
I've been
address out
instructed to
there?
leave my garbage can by the road so they can come pick it up.
What's your
But
address
I'm leaving
out
on the road.
there?
I can't use it. So,
What's your address out there? Ma'am, what's your address out there?
I'm sorry?
Your street address?
3123 60th.
When I get back to the office this afternoon, I'll look into it.
Okay, I sure appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I guess we're gonna be rolling a little bit. Also, in the event that you can't get in on 982-0247, you can also call in this morning on 982-9029. So, we have two lines available this morning so that we could try to get as many questions answered that you may have with the city manager present today. So once again, that's 982-9029. And our famous call-in number, as always, is 982-0247. So, city manager's here, available, and here to answer your questions. Okay, for the call, we was talking about you getting out and about and not getting off. I don't think we're gonna talk too much today, Brian.
All right.
Carla, you on there?
Hi. I'm also a resident from Port Acres. And I just, I've discussed this with the supervisor of the sanitation department, and now I'm going to talk to the city manager about it. Why are these garbage truck drivers or refuse collector drivers not trained to pick that garbage can up, do that little lift on it, the lid flies back on top and covers it, and put it right back in a standing up position? This is a pet peeve with me.
I don't know the answer to that question, but I'll find out.
I appreciate it.
We'll get them trained.
Thank you. That's the whole idea, because those containers do cost quite a bit of money. I don't think they give those away, do they? Hello?
I'm there. I'm here.
You know what I'm saying?
I didn't think
More
of the
ways the
question.
city could save some money if they didn't tear those containers up so much. It would help. And I know you're doing a great job and you need time, so hang in there.
Also, for whatever reason,
Hello?
the gauge of those trash cans that we buy is not a very good one, so we're looking into that as well.
Oh, okay, good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Bye.
Thank you for calling, caller. Caller, you on there?
Yes, I'd like to thank the city manager for taking the time out of his schedule to spend with you
You're
guys
welcome.
and commend him on the job that he's done so far. But let's talk about the elephant in the room. How do you feel about that forensic audit, and what will you do? What do you plan to do to make sure things like that don't happen anymore? Things like hiring or putting the people in the wrong positions, and what criteria will be put in place to prevent theft from these coffers?
Okay.
Great question.
Okay, we're gonna break the question down. I'm gonna give you a few seconds to rephrase it, but you asked about 1,000 questions. We're gonna get a long discussion on that one. So, what specifically you want him to answer, and then if no one calls, you can call back with the second portion of that question, and we can answer them all while we're in today. So let's take one at a time.
Okay, one at a time.
One at a time. I told you, don't try to throw no combinations. We're gonna throw one jab, then we come back and double up on it if necessary. But we're gonna knock him out, but we can't knock him out with no flurry. We can't do a flurry because it won't be no match, and they're gonna start booing us. So going on and jabbing one time, and if nobody don't take no swing, then put another jab on it.
Okay, well, here's my one-hitter quitter then, man.
Get it?
How do you feel about the forensic audit, and will you support it?
Great question. I'll tell you what, I have to formulate a recommendation this week for city council, and it wouldn't be fair for me to come out on the radio and talk about that before I talk to my bosses before. How's that?
Yes. I respect that.
The issue that I have is that we need to be transparent in our local government with our finances and everything that's going on with it. And the taxpayer doesn't deserve to have cheating, employees cheating and stealing money from the taxpayer. That's how I feel about that. I asked the DA's office for me to be able to get out, the city to be able to get out in front of the last issue that we had last week So we put together a press release. I called the DA's office, told them it was coming, and then I told the city council what was going on at the same time. I cannot guarantee that we are not going to have employees that are gonna steal from us in the future. However, the DA's office and us are gonna work together to make sure that we prosecute those folks so that employees understand the least thing they have to worry about is whether or not they keep their job. The most thing they have to worry about is spending some time in jail. And that's really what it boils down to here is we need to have employees that put themselves before the taxpayer and provide services that we're all proud of.
Okay.
Okay, so if nobody called in, you go ahead on and get one of them other questions you had, Anton.
Hey, look, don't put me out there like that, man.
Man, everybody know your voice, brother.
All right, brother. Okay, Mr. McDougal.
Hey, good question. Go ahead.
Thank you. I commend the city for hiring people with a criminal history. Everybody deserves a second chance. Will the city continue using programs such as Project Rio and NEG and programs they've used in the past?
I'm not familiar with those.
Hey, Anton.
Yes, sir.
I hate to cut you off, but I tell you what I'm gonna do. You know you could call back, but we got somebody else want to get a piece of this
Hey,
pie.
man, let everybody get feet.
That's what I'm talking about. Thank you very much for calling in.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Carl, are you there? Okay.
Okay, well, that was a good answer, Brian, and once again, we're gonna be getting questions for you, and we're gonna be interrupted at times just because we're trying to ensure that the people calling in have the green light to go after you rather than you trying to get out here and go after us. This is roast you today, not me. No, I'm just kidding. But we left off what you talked about. Okay, caller, you on the air.
Oh, yes, sir. Professional builders. I'd like to show this.
Okay,
Terrestrial about the 4 acres area.
excuse me, turn your radio down, please, just a little.
Oh, professional. I'm just sure I don't have the radio on.
Okay,
No, I have the radio on.
okay then, all right.
I'm out working out of town today.
Oh, okay then.
What's all of my concerns about let's trash pickup on 4 acres area. Seems like we have a lot of it that seems to stay sitting on the side of the road, and then when we, especially when I call in and ask about having trash pickup, it seems like I get a run around where they're trying to decide if it's GMO or not GMO. And in the meantime, when they're trying to decide, we have a lot of it that's going in the ditches and stomping up. And with the past rain we had this past week, that's minor flooding going on out there. So I'd like to address the issue on heavy trash pickup. What is considered heavy trash? What isn't considered heavy trash? And what do we do about it?
Okay, caller, I hear you. Your question is basically concerning heavy trash pickup and what is the city policies on heavy trash pickup, what is considered heavy trash pickup, and that some of it is running off into the ditches, which is causing flooding because it's preventing the water from draining down into the drains. Am I correct with that? Okay, the city manager will give you a reply to that. Thank you.
Hey, thanks for calling. I actually rode out in the Port Acres area on Saturday afternoon because I've gotten a lot of reports of flooding out there. Well, there really was a lot. I hate the fact that we have flooding out there. We're gonna work on that. I talked to the Public Works Director over the weekend. And I did see a lot of trash in there too. I didn't see a lot of the bulk trash that you're talking about, but I did see a lot of, plastic jugs, cans, that kind of stuff that were stopping up the works out there. I think what you're referring to when you say heavy trash is construction debris versus, your household trash. We take what I call green waste, which is your leaf limbs and shrubbery type debris and grass, that type of stuff, and we take your household trash. but we're not set up currently to take what I'll call construction debris. If you have, you're working on remodeling your house or something like that, or you put out a bunch of construction debris, that's what we're not set up to actually take. I can actually ask the Public Works Director to come on next time I'm on, and she can explain that better than I can.
Well, I'm talking, what they're calling heavy trash other than saying it's demo, and it seems like it's up to the discretion for the guys out of the truck.
Hold
whether
on
or not
for a
they
minute,
wanna pick
John,
it up.
until we finish
Let's
the other
take demo and stuff off of one residence, skip the next two, go down to the other one, and it's like, we need a direct regard on what is
Okay.
considered demolition.
Okay.
And why they can pick it up on one residence and not the other. And then when I talk to the head of maintenance on that, I get the same thing. It's, well, they're damaged trash, we don't know, go look, and then nothing gets done. And that's what I'm trying to just find a definition of it.
I got you. I think I've heard that question several times in the last 60 days, and I'm going to see if we can't figure out a way to get the word out about what is pick-upable and what isn't. I appreciate that call.
All right, thank you.
Okay, Colin, and once again, thank you for your call. We have another call on there. Caller, you still there? Okay, can you speak up a little louder?
I'd like a question about what's going on with this Edison project. The citizens already saying that they don't want the project, that they've been to court and everything about the project, but it keeps coming up and it's when is enough gonna be enough? Can you hear me?
I'm hearing you. I'm trying to figure out how to respond. The Edison project was, for those that are out there that don't know about that project, was formerly a school location. And the school, this happened long before my time, the school basically sold the property and tore down the building. So it's left a 15-acre site. The property out there is zoned two-family, which is duplexes. The owners came in and rezoned it to a planned development, and that planned development has duplexes as part of it. It'll be a gated community with, as I understand it, with private streets. And the residents are upset out there because they think it's a terrible thing to have in their neighborhood. And they've been in the neighborhood for a lot of years, and they're used to seeing a school that was nearby all those years. And I can understand that they're upset. The problem is what we have is a piece of property that somebody bought that they want to develop. And so the city's issued a permit based on that planned development, and they've issued a permit based on the two-family designation, which is duplex development. And at this point, I assume that they'll go ahead and start building the project. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, let me just ask this question. If there's also gonna be a HUD involvement in our project, why the neighbors are not notified or get their opinion? Because when they tried to rezone it, we were notified and we had to turn around and get an attorney. So what's going on with that?
Well, the citizens were notified out there. I know that there's controversy surrounding whether or not they were notified and whether there was 20% signatures or not, based on the Texas state law. But the citizens were notified out there. Now that it's an active construction project, at that point, there's no requirement that the city do any notification of the citizens out there.
Okay. All right.
Oh. Okay, caller. Oh, my.
Roll over a cord or something?
Caller, we're gonna take a 5-minute break. Would you please?
Help speak out, please.
We're gonna take.
Go.
Okay. Okay, caller, we back on air. Caller, you there?
Yes. Back to that Edison project. Just want to ask the city manager. So you saying it doesn't matter what the citizens want? People just come in and put anything in their neighborhood because they bought a piece of property?
No, sir, I'm not saying that. What I said is that during the rezone process, the citizens were notified, based on state law, we're required to do that. And that was, of course, before my time, but citizens were notified about that. And then once the plan development was approved by the city council, the developer picked up a building permit. Actually, we held up that building permit for a while because it wasn't right. But in the meantime, they're going to develop that property, it's my understanding.
So
Okay.
there's nothing else the citizens can do about that?
Well, at this point, the citizens would have to take that to court.
Okay, that's what I want to know. All right, thank you.
Okay, in reference to the Edison Square deal, as we all know, it'll be going before council at the next council meeting, and after it goes before council, I'll cover that again, and I'll bring back once again the material that will substantiate and let the citizens know exactly where they can find information. And one thing about the Edison Square, and I won't take you far, but just information that I've researched, and that's what I did most of the weekend, is the Texas Local Government Code that protects developers here in the state of Texas as well as citizens. And the council and nobody in the municipality can violate that law. It was violated, and that's how the rezoning occurred. And there's going to be paperwork and stuff that will be distributed that everyone can see what the law requires and understand what went wrong with that project. And as it stands right now, I hear the citizens are prepared to go to court. So one thing you must understand that there's always a method for appeal here in the city, the state, and we can also ensure that citizens' rights are protected. So in reference to what the city manager said, and as he said, he came in on the back end of it, and I don't think we have people that really have come up with all of the laws. Seems like the law is looking at one place, but we're not here to debate today. You heard the city manager's answer, and as far as the citizens who live in that area, they are in the process of now getting the documentation to go to court on your behalf. So hopefully everybody's rights will be protected in this case, and we do what's right for all citizens here in the city of Port Arthur. And we have no question right now. So right now, Brian, we was trying to get to the point where you are out and about a lot and not in the office, and I was asking you before we had the call, is that the way you operate, that you get out, or you go out periodically? But how do you
Sure,
operate?
sure.
What citizens can expect?
You know, there's a lot of office paperwork that needs to be done as a city manager, but I work for the citizens. My department heads work for the citizens. All the city employees work for the citizens, and they should see us. We should be visible.
Okay, I tell you, that's a good feeling, because I've always had the vision that if you see what's going on, then there's no need for someone to try to tell you what's going on. You can see for yourself. And a lot of time, individuals in positions of authority and leadership sometimes love the office and the desk and tell people to go do this, or they try to want to work with discussion. But when you don't get it about, you really don't see what's really happening. And it normally ends up, you have to rely on what people are telling you. And that's, I think, where a lot of good leaders have failed, because they accepted what was told to them instead of actually doing the homework, you know. So I applaud you on that. And any other issue, one thing we had in the newspaper that I know was of grave interest here to the citizens of Port Arthur, and I think you can comment on that one, is the fact that you're getting ready to receive your, well, we have received the disaster money for demolition of structures, and have we been given a okay, because we know that Southeast Texas Regional Planning Commission is heading this. So where do we stand with demolishing of buildings?
We are just about to begin demolishing about 350 homes.
Okay, 350?
I think that's the number, Darryl.
Okay.
I'm not 100%
Well,
sure about that,
well,
but I think so.
Yeah, we're not gonna split hairs here. It's just the idea that right now they're gonna start seeing homes disappear. I guess that's the
That is correct, yes,
right.
sir.
That is our concern with that. The callers I noticed this morning, a lot from Port Acres area, and I know that you said you was out there during the weekend. Have you had an opportunity to ride around the city when it's raining, I mean, the whole city right in different parts of, so that you can get an idea on areas that are flooded.
That's what I did Saturday afternoon, and I know that, I got several calls about what was going on in Port Acres. I got some about what was going on in Griffin Park. And yes, I spent a couple hours out Saturday afternoon riding. We had enough rain on Saturday that it was time for me to get out and see what everybody's talking about when they're talking about flooding in Port Arthur.
Okay, you know, that's good because, when I was on council, I made a point to go and drive around on days when there were heavy rain, so I can actually find out what area in the district that would flood. So when I got calls, I was familiar with it, and also when I talked with the Public Works, what in the drainage division, I can also tell them from actually seeing it, you know. And I think that's what the citizens are looking for. And when they called in, they mentioned something about trash, you know, the plastic, the garbage, you know, throwing the bottles, throwing the tire, one tire out or something like that. During my time on council, I found that a lot of what I saw was not just the dish not being cut, but, you know, the trash and debris that were in the ditches. And I was wondering why people would throw trash in the ditch. And no, it's not the people live there or in the area, those driving through.
Yeah.
So, but what I found out is the grass is long. So there's a tendency that if I throw it in long grass, nobody will see I threw no trash. You know, so I think one of the things that I pushed for, and didn't get it the way I would want it to, but I think needs to be done more of here in that manner, is having trash, having the ditches cut, because if they're cut, then they're more apt to move and go along with the flow of water. So I think that's what we have to work on, is getting the grass cut. And I think your problem that you will have to have your directors and people to sit down with and break this code is, who is responsible for what ditch? You know, we have an ordinance that says if it's 3 feet deep, then the resident is responsible. I think that in areas where we have ditches, I think that the city would have to personally go by, take the time, and let that citizen know the ditch is yours. It ain't ours.
That's right.
You know, no one has never taken that stance. You know, some residents, they cut it because they don't want it, their place looking good. Some people, they cut the yard and stop at the ditch because they say, I ain't cutting the ditch, it's the city's responsibility. So I think one of your problems is going to be having someone to go out and identify what is mine and what is theirs. Was mine, cut mine, and was theirs, they cut theirs. So
Yeah. A couple of things I would say about that, Harold. First thing is, if you want to make your community better, the first thing you can do is pick up a piece of trash. If you see something in a parking lot or on a sidewalk, pick it up. Put it in the trash can. Help us out. There's no way that we could afford as a city to do that in every instance. People are not respectful of their environment, but you can be. So if you're hearing this message, pick up a piece of trash. Cut your grass. You can contribute to your community by doing that for everybody. And as far as the rest of that goes, Harold, you know, pretty much if there's a electric box or a telephone pole in front of your house, you're responsible for everything beyond that, between that and the street, as a general rule. And there's no way that as a taxpayer that you could give us enough money that we could afford to cut every right-of-way. But think how nice it looks when you see freshly cut grass on your state right-of-ways and your city right-of-ways. The best thing I can do is, we need your help. We need your help. So you cut the grass out there, or whoever it is that you pay to cut your grass, get it cut. Because that's the first thing that makes your community look terrible. And let's face it, here in Port Arthur, we get 60, 70 inches of rain every year. So your grass is going to grow. And sure enough, the sun's gonna come out here on the coast, so it's gonna grow, so you have to get after it and make sure that it's cut.
Well, you know, I'm glad that, you have come to that conclusion after so short a time in Port Arthur. And you hit the nail on the head, and it's something that I preach all the time, is that the city is not responsible for cutting yards, people property that is not city-owned property, or in the case where we have the large drainage ditches where we know they're too deep for us to ask citizens to go in there, we do it. But we have to understand, and I've been saying it all the time, we have these codes. We have these codes. We have to enforce them. You know, I've always had this type attitude. I'd rather pay more people to inspect and cite and start getting people to do the right thing than I would sending somebody that cutting other people's property. And I think that's something that we kind of reversed here in Port Arthur, is that we always cutting grass, and every year seems like we cutting more grass. That them 300 plus homes that we finna tear down. Everybody was saying, oh, it's gonna help the city look bad. Well, I have a question. Because in my mind, what's gonna happen when that house is gone? Will the person that have owned the property, will they cut the grass when they start growing?
They should.
You know, but that's the question.
But remember too now, we have to cut the grass on those properties whether there's a structure on them or not, so.
Okay, caller, you on there?
Good morning, how are you all doing?
Very well, thank you.
That's good. I want to ask the city manager, I know this plate is full and a lot of things is going on in the city of Port Arthur right now, but I noticed that they have a lot of buildings that's in Port Arthur that still need to be demolished and demoed at this time. Is there any way or any place in the future where the city of Port Arthur is going to be doing any improvement in the city of Port Arthur besides the EDC board to give the ones who here have businesses any kind of incentive to open up in the city of Port Arthur?
Thanks for asking the question. We actually, I think you're asking a couple of different questions. The first one was, we have a lot of vacant buildings, and then the other one was something about incentives. Which one would you prefer to address first?
The incentive for those who have business that's opening up businesses in Port Arthur.
We have a set of guidelines that we follow for sales tax incentives and property tax abatement, and we would just follow those. So yes, we have that if you fit into that criteria.
Okay, and the other thing is the buildings that's here now that need to be put on the demo roster to be taken down. Is there anything in the future as of right now, or when that's going to take place?
Yeah, we're going to be taking down over 300 homes here, and it's starting pretty soon. It'll be happening this spring to start with. And some of the other bigger buildings that are downtown, you know, those are buildings that are going to be really expensive to take down. I would say, you know, the Sabine Hotel, for example, is probably that could be up to $1 million to tear that building down. So, trying to find the money for that is a difficult proposition.
Okay, and that's just some of the things that I was wondering about, because I've been a citizen here all my life, and we really could use a lot of help to try to clean up the city of Port Arthur. Not only want to take one, but it takes everybody here in the city of Port Arthur to do it.
Okay, caller. Thank you for your call. Okay, that's a caller there was hitting basically what saying what you're saying. Evidently, he was almost there with answering his question when you were speaking about the demolition and taking out all the houses and having everybody working together. And that the caller echoed your sentiments, I see, with that call. Yes, caller, you on there?
Hey, what's going on? How y'all doing?
Doing fine.
Very well, thank you.
Yes, I have a question. I was wanting to know, I seen something in the paper talking about some kind of Hollywood issue of getting the film industry down here.
Yes, sir, you did.
I was wondering what real
impact is that gonna have on the city when we have all of these problems like streets, sewage lines, water lines need to get fixed? And you can just kind of, you just say, what kind of economic impact would it really have?
You know, I guess the typical answer for the government employee like me is, it depends. You know, there could be a small film company that comes here and films something. They could be here for a couple hours and be gone and it not have much impact. And it could be that we could get Clint Eastwood here or something like that, and he could do a bang bang shoot 'em up. And that could bring a lot of money to Port Arthur. So I think the answer to your question is, I really don't know.
Okay, caller. Thank you for your call. Well, I'll tell you right now, city manager, you got one thing going for you. I don't know if someone taught you, but they taught you real well. If you don't know, tell them you don't know. I love a man who says, I don't know. If you're not prepared to answer the question, that's the best answer. It goes a long way with people having trust and confidence in you. Caller, we're going to take this call before we take this break. So you're on the air, caller. Let's have it.
Morning.
Good morning.
Concerning the trash and the cutting of the grass,
Okay.
people that are cutting the grass, aren't they responsible for picking up the trash once they cut it instead of leaving it in the street?
Yes, ma'am, they should be picking up the trash first before they cut it.
Well, I've seen them cut it and there's grass and trash on the street and they gone.
Oh, and then people are not supposed to be pushing the grass clippings into the street or on the sidewalk either.
Yeah. Well, I've seen that happen a lot of time, and you know, it's like they cut the grass and all the trash is still in the lot or wherever, or some of it in the street, and it just stays there.
Now, ma'am, do you know if this is a city employee that's doing this?
It's both. The city employees, I mean, people that the city hired to cut the lots, as well as people that are cutting for someone else.
Thank you for letting me know that. I'll address it.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you for your call, caller. And I can honestly say that as I ride through town, that is definitely a problem. I notice a lot of contractors and a lot of self-employed lawn services. They cut grass and they throw the grass into the street and the curb. And I know that is causing the problems we have in flooding.
It is.
And that's something that we probably need to get more on and check into. Okay, caller, we'll take this caller, but then we'll take a break. Okay, caller. Caller, you on the air. Caller, you on the air. Okay. At this time, we're going to take about a 5-minute break and we'll be back with It's Your City and our new city manager, Brian McDougal. So stay tuned. We're going to be here. We're going to try to get as many of your questions answered. And hopefully you'll understand why we call it Your City and what the city manager is going to do to ensure that you're happy with your city. You're on the air and we're back with your call. We're back here today in the studio with our new city manager, Brian McDougal, and he's accepting calls from citizens and have concerns or questions. Okay, caller, you're on the air.
Speaking to me?
Yes.
Oh, yes, sir. I was wondering, the homes that are being demolished, are those lots only going to be available to sell to developers? I'm asking because a few years ago, maybe 4 years ago, I was on the west side, and there was probably 12 lots that were being put up for sale. And when I called to find out the information, I was told they were only available to developers. And so that's really my major question.
Yes, ma'am, I don't know if I know the answer to that question, so I'll have to find out and get back to you.
Before you call, caller, we're
Okay,
taking
thank
one on
you.
the other
Can you,
line.
can you call my office at 409-983-8101 and leave a message to have me call you?
Yes, sir. I'm sorry. Was that 983-8101?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Okay, thank you, caller. Caller, you on the air?
Good morning, how are you?
I'm just fine. Go ahead, caller.
Hi, good morning, how are you?
We're just fine. How you doing?
Good, good. This is Dr. Jeffrey Lewis over at Sequoia Academy. We have a couple of students here that would like to ask a couple of questions.
Go ahead.
Okay, Mr. Okay, Jeffrey, go ahead on and, let him ask the first question. He's here. Jeffrey? Mr. Lewis,
Yes,
are you there?
she's about to ask your question.
Okay, city manager's ready. Just put him on.
Hi, this is Brianna Shields. I'm calling from Sequoia Academy.
Thanks, Rihanna. Go ahead.
Okay, I have a question about what are you going to do for the city? Are you planning on improving downtown?
Ask that question one more time. I didn't
Are
hear
you
you.
planning on improving downtown by putting more attractions and, fixing the streets and different things like that?
Yes, absolutely. The Chamber of Commerce is downtown now, and our Economic Development Corporation is downtown, and that's just the start. Have you been in those buildings yet?
No, I haven't been inside the buildings, but the outside makes me not want to go inside.
Yeah, you're probably in school when the buildings are open, but they're really beautiful on the inside. So when you get a chance, have somebody take you down there.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Did we have another student?
Hello?
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Deisha Williams from Sequoia Academy.
Hi, Victoria.
Deisha Williams.
I'm sorry.
Okay, what is your question?
Community youth activities, like expanding, like maybe some malls or some restaurants or anything like that. That'll be like fun and interesting.
You're asking about whether or not we're going to get some new restaurants in town, right?
Mhm.
Yes.
Oh,
We're always
okay.
trying to recruit new restaurants. Which one would you like to see?
Cassoulet.
What'd you say?
Cassoulet, Carl's Jr.
Cassoulet. I don't know what cassoulet is.
Really?
Is it Mexican food or what is it?
Yes, Mexican.
Is it? Okay. We're getting a Chipotle grill coming in.
Oh yes.
That's real
I
good.
love Chipotle.
Thank you for your question.
No problem.
Okay, and, we get a shout out for the core today. Kids calling in and
My
acting.
name is Jasmine Patton. I'm taking an urban development class.
You taking an urban development class? Wait a minute. I didn't know it was the third, student. Okay, we're gonna take one more, Mr. Lewis, and this is the last one, and, the city manager is listening, so how about repeat your name so he can know who he's talking to, please?
My name is Jasmine Patton.
Hi, Jasmine.
Hello. I had a few questions about the appearance of the neighborhood. As you go more towards the downtown area, you see the appearance kind of starts to decrease and it kind of starts to look a little bit unattractive at the very least. I was just wondering how what are these guys want to fix the appearance and make people a little bit more happy to stay in the areas that they have been staying in.
Yeah, I don't know how long you guys have been listening, but Harold and I were talking about, cutting grass and trash and things like that and what that leads to. But you're right, they do look a little shabby. We need to spend some money on our roads. And I think that we're ready to do it. These things take time though, and a lot of money, so we have to work on that.
Do you plan on getting resident support, and if so, how?
Oh yeah, I like to get resident support, that's why I'm on the radio.
Okay. Okay. Well, from the Sequoia Academy of Mississauga, we'd just like to say thank you for taking our questions, and we really do appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay, and we thank, the core. We have another call online. Caller, you on the air?
Go ahead, caller.
Yes, I wanted to talk, ask the city manager in terms of overall economic development aspect of the downtown. Are we including talks and discussions with the port and with the port planning and planning process? How do you plan to make sure that it's all inclusive in terms of that? That's the first question. Secondly, in terms of the audit, how do you feel that taxpayers need to address this issue that's critical, for the whole process dealing with funding that comes in that's, need to be held accountable. I know it's a big issue right now, so if you can expound on that, that would be great.
Sure, you had two questions. The first one was economic development report. I've met a couple of those folks, but I have not really had a lot of time to talk with them about it. A gentleman by the name of Orlando that's over there is their marketing guy, and I talked with him a couple of weeks ago. But yes, economic development is very important to our area. Jobs for our citizens is very important for our area. And we're constantly working at trying to bring better paying jobs to Port Arthur. So if that answers your first question, the second question you had was related to the audits. Cities in Texas are required to have an auditor every year. City Council approved an auditor for us to change auditors at their last meeting, and we're currently negotiating a contract with them for our annual audit. And I think maybe more what your question though is it relates to the forensic audit that City Council has been talking about since long before I got here. And I had a question about that earlier in the radio show. I just want to let you know that I'll be talking to the city councilors this week, and it'll be on the next agenda for us to be having some more discussions about that. And I'm not going to weigh in right now on that particular matter because I need to make sure that they know what my feelings are before I tell the rest of the citizens. So, but having said that, it's important that we build trust in our local government so that our citizens know that the money's being spent and the money's being spent well in our city. So we're going to work hard to make sure that happens.
Okay.
Certainly appreciate that, and because that's well needed, and this is something that's been plaguing the city for a number of years, and not just overnight. So I hope that you certainly recommend to the council to try to do what's best for the report.
Okay, caller, thank you for your call. Caller, you on air?
Yes, good morning, Mr. Doucette, and also to City Manager McDougal. I've got a couple of questions. This is former Councilman Beard here. To the City Manager, I want to ask him, has he had a chance to look over the Mercer report yet?
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's good. That's a good place to start on a lot of things dealing with city issues. Another concern I have is regarding the readiness to serve fee that's being charged to our citizens.
Mm-hmm.
I'm of the opinion that what the city is doing actually is double dipping the citizens, because you pay a fee for sewer taps and to have water provided to your house. And why are we paying $5 a month for something that we're already getting? Doesn't make any sense to me. Now, if the city needs to raise money or do something like that, I think they need to look at some efficiency issues first. But I would hope that you would look into that, and I'd like to hear you, just expound on that, if you will. The readiness to serve fee, if you can.
Yeah, I mean, it costs millions of dollars to run water and sewer treatment. And I always tell everybody this, how many other utilities do you have where we bring it to you, you can drink it, and you can pollute it, and we take it back? Your cable company doesn't do that, your phone company doesn't do that, your gas company doesn't do that. So it's an expensive proposition, and whether you use 1,000 gallons a month or you use 10,000 gallons a month, it's a privilege to be hooked up to our water and sewer system. And typically what a readiness to serve charge is basically a base fee for the privilege to have that hookup every month. And we have to have that minimum, because if we don't, we can't borrow money to improve the system. And what happens is the Texas Water Development Board requires that we have minimum dollars coming in so that we can run our system. Kind of like a base charge, kind of like when you go out to get a car loan, you've got to have a certain amount of disposable income. That's what that readiness to serve charge is on your bill.
Okay.
I'm not going to get into the situation of whether or not I think it's the right thing to do or not. It's something the city council did, and we're currently doing, and we're going to do until they change it.
Okay, and that's something I hope that does happen, because I believe that you charge your rates and your fees based on the needs that you have to be able to do the things that provide that service.
That's right.
And it should be a part of your rate structure. If you're going to add an extra tax or fee, there has to be some justification. So, I don't think that in that case has really been made, but I appreciate your answer on that.
And here's the deal: we are not charging the citizen what it fully costs in order to actually pay for the water and sewer, because the general fund owes the water and sewer fund nearly $30 million.
That's right. A lot of people don't know that, and that was a decision that the council made to do it. However,
right,
the council also made the decision not to
make the rates actually reflect reality simply because it will probably be too expensive. But also, you might want to look at the fact of how many accounts we have that are delinquent and how many accounts we have out there that have not been paid and that the water just simply cut off, plus water loss. But, that's something I'm sure you're going to be covering as you get into it.
Well,
Also,
John, let me interject right here. It's your city. I know you got you as a caller, and I got the city manager as a guest. But you know how we do here. It's your city, and when citizens get information, I like it to be accurate and factual. Okay.
right.
So for one thing, we want to go back to address the water utility fund. Okay. And that the citizens not being assessed, I think the city manager said, the cost that it's costing to produce it or to provide it. Well, the citizen probably is paying that or more than what it takes to produce it. We got problems on the other end, city manager.
Yeah, that's right, we do.
We got leaks, we got building to, so what we really need to do in order to be effective is fix the problems, and then we can determine the accurate rate. And
That's
once
right.
we determine the accurate rate, John, I think it goes back to what you're saying is we find out exactly how much we need to fund doing this on a yearly basis, and of course we charge that to our taxpayers, and hopefully at the end of the day we start getting a balanced water utility bill at the end of the year as opposed to a deficit in which we got to go into our general fund and pay for. So once again, viewer, we got to understand that until we can reduce this abnormal leakage we have in the city, and until we can get the building corrected to the best of our ability, it's going to be pretty hard for any person or department to try to determine exact costs.
I agree, that's a great point.
Right. So once again, the water utilities, and to make sure everyone understands, we've already done a system check whereby they identify some of the leakages. So in the future, I'm looking for that to turn around too, because there are things the council has approved and that have been done already. And these were that they had started this year before you came on, Brian, but right now it's gonna help you. That when it gets done, then you may.
Well, I appreciate that.
Yeah, well, you know what? It's good to comment on something that somebody started to say, oh yeah, I like that, instead of something started you get hammered about.
Right.
Okay, John. Go ahead, John.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead, John. Wrap up.
Okay, one last question. I'm concerned with procurement. You know, you mentioned, City Manager, about the demolitions that are going to be going on. And there are very few Port Arthur companies that get the opportunity to bid on that. And I look at the amount of utility in my time on council of the amount of Port Arthur companies that actually do business with the city. And I'm wondering, and in my research I found that we do not have an explicit policy or guideline covering that. So I'm wondering if you want to look into that and, you know, help implement some things that can increase the capacity of companies here to be able to do business with the city, and to also help those companies build that capacity so that more companies are able to do business with the city, like demolition, procurements, and other services.
I appreciate that, I'll look into it.
Okay, John. Appreciate your call, but you have a good day.
Thanks very much, gentlemen. Take care.
All right. Bye-bye. Okay, caller, you on air?
Good morning, gentlemen. And, well, I guess it's noon now. And thank you so much, City Manager McDougal, for coming to the Breeze and being available to the public. I certainly applaud this, and thank you so much. You know, there are the members of the community who are not necessarily print capable, and being on the radio and getting pieces over the radio is a help to the citizens so that they can become informed and involved. So thank you so much, and I appreciate your candor in your responses. And hope you will be back, and certainly hope that, I think one of the callers called with some questions about the processing of houses that are determined to be demolishable and maybe perhaps renovating some of those. So if you come back to the station, could you update us on how that process is? And we would like to see these areas not only spruced up, but certainly not as vacant as they are. That's another issue that's a concern.
Yes, I'll be glad to do that, and I don't run this place, but if they let me come back, I'll come back.
That would be fantastic. And Mr. Doucette, it looks like you've had a home run this morning with the number of calls and the interest.
Man, AC, the only reason it came out that way because we get a city manager down here and everybody want to call in and ask him some questions. You know, I got more answers than the city manager could dream of, and they won't even call me. That just show y'all back with these people is. I don't know what's going on with the Port Arthur. What you think about it, AC? Talk to me.
I tell you what, I was just really pumped and uplifted by that students that Toccoa calling. That's really special.
Well, you know, that's our future. And unless someone take the time to get them involved, they're not going to. But they can understand, they can contribute, and the more you get them involved, the better off they're going to be with being good citizens and contributing to the community. You know, those kids are our future. Whether we like it or not, they are the future, we are the present, and hopefully, you know, they can continue to improve our city, but it's going to take people who understand they're not kids and they're old enough to understand we have to get them involved.
And City Manager McDougal, and I agree, Mr. Doucette, I absolutely agree, and it was a good thing to hear this morning. Mr. McDougal, I know you've been here relatively short time, and out of fairness, I'm not going to ask the question, which is a burning question, which is your assessment and evaluation and where you believe that we need to go and what we need to do, but I'm going to just sort of throw that out to you and hope that at some point you return and give us your own city managerial and experiential impression of the assets, the challenges, and an idea of where you believe the city needs to go and where it can go.
I'll be glad to do that when I come back. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, thank you, AC.
All righty.
You have a good day. Of course, the city manager has a schedule to maintain, and he allowed it an hour. And hopefully he'll come back periodically and entertain your questions and concern that you may have here in the community. And Brian, we want to thank you.
Thank you.
You know, it's just mind-boggling to have the city manager to take the time out to come and sit and just let people ask whatever question they have. And I want everybody to understand, you know, quit clapping and I'm talking. You know, no, you Councilman Mosley, we don't know what we're going to do with it. But anyway, that was him clapping. But, you know, hopefully we could get you back and you come out and answer the question. And what I like about it, and I want all the listeners to know, he came in here with no hold barred. He didn't ask us to discuss certain topics. He didn't require us to give him a list. He didn't worry about the question we asked. And I did get him to give one call or response of I don't know, so I think he told the truth when he spoke today. Because if he did, he probably had an answer for all the questions. So Brian, once again, I'm thankful that you take the time. And I hope you come back in the future, maybe once a quarter or once a month. In fact, I can have you back every week. So what I would like for you to do is take a look at your schedule.
I'm not that interesting, Harold.
You know?
I'm not that interesting.
Well, you're not and I'm not either, but you know, people turn toward people for information and information that they can make decisions based on. So anytime that you feel you want to come out and take the time to be available and accessible by phone here on the Breeze Radio, please just notify me or Councilman Mosley, and we were sure to make it available. Now, I do the Monday show here, It's Your City, but I'm quite sure that there are other times when we can make the time for you to fit your schedule. I think the main thing here is that you be accessible to people in the community at a given time when they can call you and tell you anything that they feel they need to say to the city manager. Because I've talked about our form of government, and for some reason, I think probably about 70% of the people still haven't realized that in our form of government, the individual that runs this city on a day-to-day operation is not our mayor, not our council member, but the person that runs our city on a day-to-day operation is you. The person that makes that decision is you. And unless it's something that is not routine in operation, it is solely your decision to make. So with that, we understand that when you call, the answer you get from our city manager, be rest assured that what he says goes unless it's dealing with policy and procedure that he has to get approval through council. But if it's just routine operation, if you're talking about, like we heard today, might trash this or trash that, that's the city manager. The city manager makes those decisions. He could give you an answer today on the radio, and it's going to happen because he is authority, and he has been given that authority with his duty and position. So with that in mind, Brian, I want to thank you very much for coming today.
Thanks, Harold. Appreciate being here.
And as always, in party, you know, we got a couple of people that help pay the bills, and Mr. Mosley won't help us.
I will.
You know, he said he gonna help. So I'm gonna go ahead on and give you these announcements anyway. Jadid's French Market, Sanitation Deli, located on 7th Street, everybody know here in Port Arthur. And it's open Monday through Friday, 7:30 to 5 p.m. You know, you get a variety of food. That's Jadid's French Market, Sanitation Deli, and also helping us today, we need to make sure that everyone knows about Barnes Memorial Methodist Church will host a weekly revival. And that's on the 29th of March through the 3rd of April. Time, 3:30 to 6 p.m. Once again, the place will be Barnes Memorial Methodist Church, 740 West 17th Street. And the pastor included will be Pastor Beverly Woodard, Janice Milo, Grant Graham, Kerry Brooks, Glenn Alexander, and Vernon Chesson. So, if you have any questions or you want Holy Communion to be reserved, please feel free to call Beverly Sanders at area code 409-293-5499 or 433-5003 or 982-2922. And today at 1 o'clock, we will have the Corporation CEO, Floyd Baptiste, coming here. What Floyd want to talk about? Oh, he wants to talk about the newly rehabilitated home office at downtown Port Arthur at Proctor Street. So, they're going to have a big grand opening. So, what he wants to do, he wants to tell you about it. So, with parting and always remember, have a safe and joyous week, and I'll see you next Monday with It's Your City.
Hey dog, I'm gonna call him and tell him to get off the air.